All right, Shabbat Shalom, family. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Biblical Hebrews of the Bible, which is sponsored by Facebook Live. Today's date is the 23rd of April, 2025, Wednesday. I'm your sister, Georgia, and today we're getting ready to get into a very interesting topic. It's going to be different from what many people think when I titled it, Is This the Man? We're not talking about a specific man like people do today. We're going to talk about it in terms of what the Father has spoken of man in the Bible. So let's go there. Let's go there. Today's title Is This the Man? Now, this is part 3 of the series. If you've been keeping up with us, if you could see it, don't believe it, this is part 3. Okay, I'm probably going to chop it up into 2 parts to get it all out because there's a lot of reading involved here. But I pray everyone is here to learn and loves to hear what the Father has said. So we're going to start it off. We're going to find out who the true enemy here is. And this hidden enemy, he's going to reveal himself, which is Satan. But we got to go deeper than that. And I want to take you guys deeper to see what the Father was telling us within Scripture. First, I'm going to take you guys to the forgotten books of Eden. Okay, the first book of Adam and Eve, chapter 29. I've said this scripture a lot, but I got to keep repeating it so people can catch on because this is the same thing the scriptures tell us. So in chapter 29, the Father tells Adam of the devil's purpose. He said, verse 4, Then came the word from God to Adam and said unto him, Know thou and understand concerning this Satan, that he seeks to deceive thee and thy seed after thee. Meaning this is going to be an ongoing for that true spiritual lineage that went from Adam, took the covenant through Abraham, all the way to the weeding out of the tares through Yahushua by separating the wheat and tare to that spiritual Israel. Okay? So it's going to keep happening every time a child is born. It's going to keep happening. There's nothing new underneath the sun because everything is a repeat. Know that. You're going to hear me read things. The reason why I can go here and read them, because a lot of things I'm reading, you can see every day, even in your lives. But you can hear it in the new covenant, or you can hear it in the old covenant, 3 or 4 different spots. It kept happening. Well, this is something I got to get into because a lot of people believe what they see or have been anything of the physical, something you see, something you hear, or just something that you read, not giving the understanding like the Father wanted you to have that understanding. So we're getting ready to speak about, is this the man? So in the second book of Adam and Eve, it told us, the Father said to Adam, he's going to deceive you. That's what he's trying to do. And your seed after you. So pay attention. The scriptures tell us that. Okay. Now in the second book of Adam and Eve, I'm going to read a little bit to you. This is taken out of chapter 8. This is dealing with Jared. Let me see if I got the right part. It's dealing with one of the sons because I went so many places. But let me read it to you. It's one of the descendants of Adam. Seth is who it's dealing with. Picking up at verse 7 of chapter 8 of the book of the second book of Adam and Eve. Or first, let me see which book am I in? The second book of Adam and Eve. It reads, O Seth, my son, thou knowest this world, that it is full of sorrow and of weariness, and thou knowest all that has come upon us from our trials in it. I therefore now command thee in these words, to keep innocency, to be pure and just, and trusting in God, and leave not to the disclosures of Satan. Don't listen to what he says because he's out here influencing. You're going to see how he does influencing. It's unlike what we've been taught in the church when it comes to Satan. And that's really the brunt of what I want to get to today. So like I said, it's going to be a part 1, part 2. We're going to go into a lot of scriptures. But if you're loving the Father's word and want to know what he is speaking of, stick with us because that's what we're going to get into. So he tells them, I therefore now command thee in these words, to keep innocency, to be pure and just, and trusting in God, and lean not to the disclosures of Satan. Don't listen to what he has to say. It says, nor to the apparitions in which he will show himself to thee. These are apparitions. That's why the Father said, lean not on your understanding. Don't go by what you see, Paul said. That's not what's real. That's not the real. What's really real and what doesn't change is the spiritual, which is the Father's word being spiritual. Satan is only able to put deception in front of your face to make you believe a lie. And he did that, and he caused a lot of the angels or the Father's people to fall, calling them fallen angels. So he says, nor to the apparitions in which he will show himself to thee. Anybody who read the first book of Adam and Eve, you know how many times Satan appeared to Adam and Eve in different forms. And then when you go into the second book, which is where we're at now, I'm going to give you one example of what he did, because there's many different ways he has to deceive people. So let's get into these. He says, but keep the commandments that I give thee this day, then give the same to thy son Enos, and let Enos give it to his son Canaan, and Canaan to his son Mahalalel, so that the commandment abide firm among all your children. So this is a generational thing that should be taught to everyone, starting first with Adam to his son Seth, all the way down the list still today. A lot of times you read these things in the Bible, but they're not teaching you the way they should teach you concerning what the Father told them. That's what we're going to get to today. So it was something that should be passed on concerning the Satan, how he's here to deceive you at every means. He has a plethora of deceptions, devices to deceive you with. That's why I titled the lesson, if you see it, don't believe it. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're going to go into chapter 19. The children of Jared are led astray. It tells us, now the reason for which the children of Jared went down the holy mountain is this, that we will now reveal unto you. So you're going to find out, why did they get off the mountain? Why, when you get to Genesis chapter 6, it said that these angels are these fallen angels, which left the first estate and went after the daughters of the world and multiplied with them, because there were people in the world before Adam and Eve. All you got to do is read Genesis 1. Many people don't want to believe that, but you better read what it says. So there were other people. When Cain left the garden, well, he didn't leave the garden. He left. He was born outside the garden. But when he left to find my wife, he just went with all the daughters of the world. That's all he did. Okay, so it reads in chapter 20, after Cain had gone down to the land of dark soil, and his children had multiplied therein, there was one of them whose name was Gideon, son of Lamech the blind, who slew Cain. And you can read about this in Genesis chapter 4. Let's go a little further. It says, but as to Gideon, Satan came in unto him in his childhood, and he made sundry trumpets and horns and stringed instruments, cymbals and what's that word? Psalteries and lyres and harps and flutes, and he played on them at all times and at every hour. It says, and when he played on them, okay, Gideon played these instruments, Satan came into them, the instruments, so that from among them there were heard beautiful and sweet sounds that ravished the heart. So we can see that he's going into a musical sound from an instrument. That's why they tell you music, it'll change your, well, like you listen to a love song, you're all lovey-dovey. Next thing you listen to some hard rap or some rock or something, and now you fierce and all this. Satan. Okay, so pay attention. It says, verse 4. It says, then he gathered companies upon companies to play on them. And when they played, it pleased well the children of Cain, who inflamed themselves with sin among themselves, and burnt as with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts, one with another. A lot of times you read, you know, Satan is that lion that roams about seeking those who can devour. People believe it's just, oh, it's an evil spirit. No, not really. And I'm going to prove that as I go along. But as we're reading, he did something to the music that when they heard that song, that whatever beat it was, they start getting inflamed. Okay, we're going to prove this even in the scriptures. I want to show you the same thing where it's being done. So he said, when they played, it pleased well the children of Cain, who inflamed themselves with sin among themselves, and burnt as with fire, while Satan inflamed their hearts one with another, and increased lust among them. Verse 5, Satan also taught Gideon to bring strong drink out of corn. And this Gideon used to bring together companies upon companies in drinking houses, and brought into their hands all manner of fruit and flowers, and they drank together. So now he's introducing drink, strong drink, not wine. Okay, it says, thus did this Gideon multiply sin exceedingly. He also acted with pride, and taught the children of Cain to commit all manners of the grossest wickedness, which they knew not, and put them up to manifold doings which they knew not before. Then Satan, when he saw that they yielded to Gideon and hearkened to him in everything he told them, he rejoiced greatly, increased Gideon's understanding until he took iron and with it made weapons of war. And the reason why I'm really reading this is because I'm going to get into Enoch in a second, and you're going to see some of those scattered secrets that Enoch talks about being made, and the children wanting to know these things. Well, right here we get another example of these weapons of war, and how he, through things that are in the physical, make a person react certain ways. I think people think that, let me just say it like this. I tell people, if you see it, don't believe it, because what they're showing you right now, this week alone, people have recorded some weird stuff in the sky. I don't know if you're paying attention, but this one lady, she saw in the sky a portal open, and there were two people standing there. And she said, oh, Jesus coming back. There's the two witnesses. This is the part of Revelations. Not so. The Father said there will be no sign given. He's not dealing with signs, but somebody else is dealing with a sign or an apparition. So let's see what else is in here. It says, then when they were drunk, hatred and murder increased among them. One man used violence against another to teach him evil, taking his children and defiling them before him. A lot of this stuff is being done today, family. It says, and when men saw they were overcome, and saw others that were not overpowered, those who were beaten came to Gideon, took refuge with him, and he made them to his confederates. He made them friends of his. Here's what he does. Then sin increased among them greatly, until a man married his own sister or daughter or mother, and others, or the daughter of his father's sister, of his father's sister, so that there was no more distinction of relationship, and they no longer knew what is iniquity, but did wickedly. And the earth was defiled with sin, and they angered God the judge, who had created them. Remember, the Father said, I create good and I create evil. I'm able to, out of the same lump, out of the same soil, the earth, to create one vessel unto honor and one for destruction. That's the way he created it. Now he's explaining a little bit something to us. We're going to see what he's saying here. So it says, but when the children of Seth heard the noise, they wondered and came by companies and stood on the top of the mountain to look at those below. And they did this thus all year. When at the end of that year, Gideon saw that they were being won over little by little, Satan entered into him. So when Gideon saw that the children of Seth, these are your, people call them watchers. The Bible calls us watchers. Okay? You got to watch over your brother. And it calls, there's a whole, I think it's in Ezekiel, I think, where he phrase us as watchers. Okay, messengers, all these names that people think are some invisible being or some, spiritual, something from heaven. No, it's talking about people here on earth. But when he saw that it was getting an effect on the children of Seth, and he was winning them over little by little, a whole year had passed by, it said that's when Satan entered him. Let's go a little further. And taught him to make dyeing stuff for garments of diverse patterns, and made him understand how to dye crimson and purple and whatnot. And the sons of Cain, who wrought all this and shone in beauty and gorgeous apparel, gathered together at the foot of the mountain in splendor, with horns and gorgeous dresses and horse races, committing all manner of abominations. Meanwhile, the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, prayed and praised God in the place of the host of angels who had fallen. Okay? Wherefore God had called them angels, because he rejoiced over them greatly. Now, if you read in the book of Enoch, you know who those fallen angels were. Those were the ones who, the first 100 who went down to get the children of the world, Cain, and start doing things with. So let's continue reading. And we're going to read that in a second, but hold on. It says, meanwhile, the children of Seth, who were on the holy mountain, prayed and praised God in the place of the host of angels who had fallen. Wherefore God had called them angels, because he rejoiced over them greatly. But after this, they no longer kept his commandment, nor held by the promise he had made to their fathers. But they relaxed from their fasting and praying, and from the counsel of Jared their father, and they kept on gathering together on top of the mountain, and looked upon the children of Cain from morning until evening, and upon what they did, upon their beautiful dresses and ornaments. Then the children of Cain looked up from below and saw the children of Seth standing in troops on top of the mountain, and they called to them to come down to them. But the children of Seth said to them from above, we don't know the way. Then Gideon, the son of Lamech, heard them say that they did not know the way, and he bethought himself how he might bring them down. Then Satan appeared to him by night, saying, there is no way for them to come down from the mountain on which they dwell, but when they come down tomorrow, say to them, come ye to the western side of the mountain. There you will find the way of a stream of water that comes down to the foot of the mountain between two hills. Come down that way to us. Then when it was day, Gideon blew the horn and beat the drums below the mountain, as he was wont. The children of Seth heard it and came as they used to do. Then Gideon said to them from down below, go to the western side of the mountain. There you will find the way to come down. But when the children of Seth heard these words from him, they went back into the cave to Jared to tell him all that they had heard. Then when Jared heard it, he was grieved, for he knew that they would transgress his counsel. After this, 100 men of the children of Seth gathered together and said amongst themselves, come, let us go down to the children of Cain and see what they do, and enjoy ourselves with them. But when Jared heard this of the 100 men, these are the men that went down the mountain, the same 100 you could read about in the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch. We're reading the second book of Adam and Eve. So, yeah. Okay. So it says, he then arose with great fever and stood in the midst of them, and adjured them by the blood of Abel the just. Let not one of you go down from this holy and pure mountain in which our fathers have ordered us to dwell. But when Jared saw that they did not receive his words, he said unto them, O my good and innocent and holy children, know that when you once go down from this holy mountain, God will not allow you to return to it again. He again adjured them, saying, I adjure by the death of our father Adam, and by the blood of Abel, of Seth, of Enos, of Canaan, and of Methuselah, to hearken to me, and not to go down from this holy mountain. For the moment that you leave it, you will be rent of life and of mercy. And you shall no longer be called children of God, which is another way of saying sons of God, but sons of the devil, children of the devil. You'll be known as fallen angels. It's all the same words, family. Verse 28, but they would not hearken to his words. Enoch at that time was already grown up, and in his zeal for God, he arose and said, Hear me, O ye sons of Seth, small and great. When ye transgress this commandment of your fathers, and go down from this holy mountain, ye shall not come up hither again forever. But they rose up against Enoch, and would not hearken to his words, but went down from the holy mountain. And when they looked at the daughters of Cain, this is something physical, the moment that the children were disobedient, and they looked at the daughters of Cain, the one that came down the mountain, at their beautiful figures, at their hands and feet dyed with color, and tattooed in ornaments on their faces, and the fire of sin was kindled in them, because at that point the hedge was broke. They did not obey what God commanded Adam, told Adam about this, told Jared about this, that Satan can make something look so delicious to you. But hearken to me. Don't listen to them. Today, people listen to anything or watch anything and want to tell you, hey, this is truth. Read in the book, this is truth. There's only one truth, and that's in his word. But Satan is going to do what he got to do. He has many ways to deceive the Father's people, and this was one way. And we're supposed to tell these stories. We're supposed to read these stories and understand what really happened. We're not talking about fallen angels. We're not talking about sons of God being fallen angels or angels. We're talking about people, the Father's people, through Adam, that genealogy. That's why it's important to know and understand there's a difference between Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. From Genesis chapter 2, all you hear about are chapter 4, Cain, child of the devil. And then you hear, and when I say child of the devil, he's still Adam's son, but his spirit was from Satan. And you also hear about his other son, Abel. And you get the descendants from Seth in chapter 5, from Adam to Seth, because he had slain his brother Abel. So we're talking about people, children, okay? Let's pay attention. All this makes sense the more we get into the lesson. But let's finish reading. So it says, then Satan made them look, these girls, look most beautiful before the sons of Seth. He made them look. Not that they really were, but it appeared to the sons of Seth that, oh my goodness, she's got it going on. Look at her. Okay? It said, then Satan made them look most beautiful before the sons of Seth. And he also made the sons of Seth appear of the fairest in the eyes of the daughter of Cain. So he has the ability to make what you see what he wants you to see. We're going to get this through the Bible. I know a lot of people say, well, how's she going to blend it? It's in the Bible, and I'm going to show it to you. So it said that these were those hidden secrets, because those girls knew how to put all kind of color tinctures, garments, and all this stuff on. And also, and I'm going to get in that book just in a little bit. It's going to talk about how when these scattered secrets were passed out, they know how to make weapons of war. They knew about the metals. They knew about the sun. They knew about the moon. They knew about the constellation. They knew about the earth. They knew about all these things. These were those scattered secrets. You see in many of them today. all the time and you don't realize what you're seeing. But let's go further. So it says Satan made them look most beautiful before the sons of Seth, as he also made the sons of Seth appear of the fairest in the eyes of the daughters of Cain, so that the daughters of Cain lusted after the sons of Seth like ravishing beasts, and the sons of Seth after the daughters of Cain, until they committed abomination with them. Satan is doing all this, and I'm going to explain this more later. Pay attention. But after they had thus fallen into this defilement, who fell? Well, the sons or the children of God, the sons of God, the descendants of Adam, when they didn't hearken. Now they're in a fallen state. These are your fallen angels. No winged beings here, family. Pay attention. But after they had thus fallen into this defilement, they returned by the way they had come, and tried to ascend the holy mountain, but they could not, because the stones of that holy mountain were of fire flashing before them, by reason of which they could not go up again. And God was angry with them, and repented of them, because they had come down from glory, and had thereby lost or forsaken their own purity or innocence, and were fallen into the defilement of sin. Then God sent word to Jared, saying, These thy children, whom thou didst call my children, behold, they have transgressed my commandment, and have gone down to the abode of perdition, the children of perdition, the children of destruction, the children of Satan, and of sin. Send a messenger to those that are left, that they may not go down and be lost. Then Jared wept before the Lord, and asked of him mercy and forgiveness. But he wished that his soul might depart from his body, rather than hear these words from God about the going down of his children from the holy mountain. But he followed let me read this again. But he followed God's order, and preached unto them not to go down from that holy mountain, and not to hold intercourse with the children of Cain. The remaining children didn't listen, but they heeded not to the message, and would not obey his counsel. And that, family, that is what happened. Satan pulled a number on them and caused them to be led astray. Remember, the children of Jared were led astray, and I just read to you the revealing of how they were led astray. Satan. Now, we're going to get a little deeper here. I read a lot of different words to you, like Satan made them look this way. It's what they saw. You remember, the father was telling Jared, listen, don't hearken to the apparition, what you see. But I'm going to speak to you in visions. What I give you is the inside job, because there's no sign given. So I'm not going to be doing that. Only Satan uses those type of tricks. After all, he is the prince of the power of the air. The air is everything underneath the firmament. This is what Satan controls. And there is no outer space under the firmament. And you can't go past the firmament. So that's a deceivable trick they've been fooling us with forever. They're making the globe a ball. That's not what the Bible says. But pay attention. When you go to Ephesians 2:2, this might really take you focusing to really get, but I know you can get it. Let's go there. Ephesians 2:2. This is after Yahushua put all principalities under his feet. By the time you get to Ephesians chapter 2, he tells us this: where in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, Satan, the spirit that now worketh in the children of obedience. So you walked in this world under the prince of the power of the air, because who is over this dimension? Remember, Satan is over this dimension. But since the Father came and bought you with the price, that was to remove everything of the flesh, to bring you now back into the spiritual. You're still here. It's just that there's no sin attached to you where Satan can attack you. Okay? But they do have spirits that are from Satan in vessels, known as his children. Therefore, it is people, not Satan, walking, doing this. Let me go there. Let me show it to you. It said that where in time past we walked, and we know we're people. Okay, we know those angels that's in the book of Adam and Eve, those were people. Those were the descendants of Adam. We know when you go to the book of Enoch, it's talking about the descendants of Adam. Okay, so in Ephesians 2:2, it says ye walked. And I was like, where did I hear that before? Let me take you there. Here's where I heard that before. When you go to 1 Peter 5:8, it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about. Ye walked under the prince of the power of the air. Somebody else is doing some walking. Satan is walking as a roaring lion, this deceiver, this adversary, and he's seeking those whom he wants to devour. So we see that Satan also is spoke of walking this earth. Ye walked this earth under the prince of the power of the air. That's this earth. Where was Satan cast to? This earth. Where was his angels cast to? This earth. Everything's happening on this earth. Nobody's getting out of it. So if Satan can do some walking, we're gonna really bust this down in about 2 seconds. If it says that we walked according to the prince of the power of the air, we were known as disobedient children, kicked out of the promised land many times, all the way from the book of Enoch, because that mountain, that was a set apart place. That was a land of milk and honey. The garden, land of milk and honey. All the way through the old covenant, we were in Jerusalem, land of milk and honey, the land of Canaan. We got kicked out of there. By the time we get to the new covenant, we see certain things took place, but something caused certain angels to fall again. The terrors were over them. Satan's original crew kept creeping in unaware. Satan was putting them in there, deceiving the people. So I want to show you, the whole title of today's lesson is this the man? I hope you know where I'm going with this. So he told us that ye walked under this Satan, okay, under the prince of the power of the air. So remember, one generation, according to Ecclesiastes 1:4, it says, one generation passeth away, another generation cometh, but the earth abides forever. This is the same earth that the Old Testament was on, as well as the New Testament, when it got completed, with us having a new covenant and sin being removed, and now the Father's dwelling in us. He said, I will never leave you or forsake you. He said, the kingdom's within you. People are looking out because the world teaches them he didn't complete it. Oh, we wait for him to come back. Is he not dwelling in you? What you waiting for? This earth ain't going nowhere. But because we just read how we're supposed to tell every generation about this Satan, his devices, his sneakiness, how beguiling he is. He's there to kill, steal, and destroy. He's there to deceive you, Adam, not only you, but all your descendants, all the spiritual children. So let's go here. Let's find out something. If you know the earth is going to abide forever, it ain't going nowhere. I don't care how many Left Behind movies or Apocalypse Now or zombie movies is going to be here. Okay? In Job 9:24, it tells us the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So everybody who wasn't in a set apart place in the scriptures that were in the world were considered wicked. I mean, I don't care where you are. Now, we went through Genesis 10 and 11 to show you it was only in this part where we're at right now, in America, it was only the lineage of Ham and the lineage of Shem. That was the only two, or Seth. Shem. In my Shem and Seth, I always get them mixed up. But it was only those two descendants. After you read Genesis 10, you go to 11, Japheth's not there. But he's in the world. He would be considered wicked. So would the descendants of Ham be wicked. Now, those of us who got scattered, not all came in. Those are your Gentiles. They were known as wickedly because they were serving idols, doing whatever you see today when our people don't know the truth. They sit in Christianity, but yet they have idols in there, and people don't get it. Whatever they've been taught, traditions of men, they know no better. How can they hear without a preacher? And how can that preacher preach unless being sent? They'll never hear the truth. So we have to speak boldly on this truth. Let's go there. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He said, I'm leaving you as sheep among wolves. You got to know what's going on. Now, I told you guys just a second ago, I said, so really, people, not Satan, are doing the will of Satan. Because it says, ye walk, being us, according to the prince of the power of the air. But later you read about how Satan was walking in the earth like a lion. We're going to go someplace else. We're going to show you that this Satan, you're going to see how he works. Let's go to Job chapter 1. Job chapter 1. We're talking about Satan. We're talking about, is this the man? You're going to get it. Hold tight. In Job 1, I'm going to read it all for you, and I'm going to pray you pick it up. Okay, it says, there was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God, and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. You better go to Genesis 10 and understand who was given the land of the East. They came from the East. In Genesis chapter 11, to build a tower, they looked at everybody else out there, which were the lineage of Ham, and say, let us go to and make us a temple that's going to reach to heaven. Okay? So, the 3 wise men that came to bring the myrrh and the gold and the incense to Yahushua, they came from the east. Hope y'all getting this. Okay, so it says, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Okay? And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered a burnt offering according to the number of them all. And Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Pay attention. We're getting to the part. Let me take a sip of something because my throat gets real dry. And thank y'all for bearing with me because lots been happening in my life with my notes getting all erased. I had all the lesson. I was supposed to come to you guys a little while ago. All my notes, and I had maybe about 4 hours worth of notes, all got deleted. So I'm restarting my notes again. So bear with me. My eyes are kind of blurry because I've been in this computer for 2 days trying to get this set of notes together. Anyhow, let's continue with Job chapter 1 because the title of today's lesson, it says, is this the man? So pay attention to what happens in Job. So it said, now there was a day when the sons of God, that's people, came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came along with them. Okay? It said, and the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. I don't think anybody's seen a red devil or a roaring lion walking back called Satan, but that's what it reads. So pay attention to what we read. So Satan is saying, hey, I've been going through the earth. I've been looking for those souls to devour. I've been doing my job. And it says, so the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered the Lord, and he said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. Here's what the Father tells him. I don't know if anybody's really listening to what the Father told him. We're going to read it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in your power. I'm giving you the right, because I'm taking that hedge off. Everything that Job has, you can do what you want. It's in your power, Satan. But here's what he says. Everything only upon himself put not forth thine hand. You can't kill him. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, because he had got permission to do whatever he wanted to all that Job had. He had the power. The Father allowed him to do the power. Before, there was a hedge up. Satan couldn't touch him. But the Father said, hey, I'm giving you the power. Do all that you want. So pay attention how Satan does it. It says, and there was a day when the sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, and there came a messenger unto Job, and he said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped to tell you this. While he was yet speaking, there came another, and he said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burnt up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and only I am escaped alone to tell you this. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and he said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slayed the servants with the edge of the sword, and only I am escaped alone to tell you this. While he was yet speaking, there came another also, and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in the eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose and went in and rent his mantle, shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and he worshipped, and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord had taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job did not sin, nor charge God foolishly. Now, when I read it the first time, it popped at me strongly. I hope y'all know what I'm getting ready to say, because the title is this the man? But when we read this, it said that the Father gave Satan charge, the power to do whatever he wanted. But when we read about the Sabeans, fire of God from heaven falling on them. We hear about the Chaldeans. We hear about this great wind. Well, where's Satan? Where's Satan? You got one enemy on this earth. That's why we're not to look at people or judge people. That's why he gave us the power not to fight with the person, but do spiritual warfare, because within every vessel there is a spirit. But Satan ain't doing his dirty work. He does it through his children. He does it through manipulating this this region that you're in, the air that you're in. Okay, that's how he deceives you and he tricks you and he hunts you down. There's people involved. Because we read, I'm going to go there one more time. The Sabians fell upon the house of Job. It was the Sabians, a group of them. So that's more than one person. Satan had inflamed them to go attack, and they did. It says the fire of God is fallen from heaven. Stop, wait a minute. Did not the Father tell Satan all that he hath is in your power? He didn't say, okay, Satan, I'm going to do this for you. He told Satan, you do what you got to do. But right here we read, the fire of God is fallen from heaven. What's wrong with that? Anybody know? I'm going to tell you what's wrong with that. It's not the fire of God. It's like what you see today. This was Satan manipulating the weather. How do I know? Have you ever read the book of Enoch? We just went through the second and first book of Adam and Eve. Don't go by those apparitions. Satan's able to manipulate this dimension. So we hear about fire of God is fallen from heaven. That's what's written in the book. But it wasn't the Father doing that. It was Satan. But how did he do it? Just like we read the Sabians, the Chaldeans. He uses people, men, people, not aliens. You know, he's using that now as a deception, but that's still man-made. Everything you see in this dimension is man-made. Okay? So we see the Chaldeans, when he talks about a great wind, well, think about Hurricane Katrina, how that levee just broke. This just happened for no reason. This water came and look, all those people died. It just happened by accident. That's what they told you. But if you did research it, you know that's not true. There's a movie, 1959, Eyes in Outer Space. It's on YouTube. I'm going to try to post it with this video, but it is on our YouTube site on the Biblical Hebrews of the Bible. Brother posted that for us. And what it shows you is the secrets of Enoch, how they had power to cause rain by seeding the sky, cause this to happen, cause the water to go down. Come on, family. All this is just technology. This is what we're going to read about in the book of Enoch. These secrets that were passed out. So when it says this great wind, well, what about that great wind? I'm going to take you there really quick. When you go to the book of Enoch, it talks about it. Chapter VIII. It says, and Azazel, which is Satan, taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made them to know them metals of the earth, and the art of working them, that's war, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids. That's what we read when Satan made the children of Cain, those daughters, look most attractive to the daughters of Seth because they had all this dye on, earrings, tattoos, and all this. There you go. And when they put all that on, they made the appearance, not that these were really pretty women, but they made it seem like, wow, these are gorgeous women. Shuler King recently did a video, and he makes me laugh. I'm going to see if I can post that one with this video as well. But he talks about these are the same woman, but there's some witchcraft going on here. He said, this woman don't look like that woman. That's why if you have a date, go take your first date to the water park so that she can go underwater and the real face can come out. Because a lot of people are being deceived. If they're not being deceived by a woman playing a man or a man playing a woman, that's enough within itself. But when you think you're getting something like this, that's not what you get. When that makeup come off, you got this. It's talking about the beautifying of the face. All that's spoken of. So it says, the working of them, the bracelets, the ornaments, the use of antimony, the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kind of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all the ways. It says Simjaza taught root cutting and enchantments, Amoros, the resolving of enchantments. They were taught astrology. They were taught constellation. They were taught the knowledge of the clouds. They were taught all the signs of the earth and the signs of the sun, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. So all these secrets were passed out. When it talks about this great wind, when we read about it in Job 1, verse 19, it says, and behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness that smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And only I'm escaped to tell you these. Well, no great mystery. Weather modification has been spoken of in the scripture, and we never caught it. We never caught it. Then the fire of God is fallen from heaven. Well, it wasn't the Father who did this. It was Satan. So that meant, like they tell you today, oh, a comet came from outer space and it hit, and now you got this big destruction, this big hole in the earth. How is a comet going to come from outer space when you can't get to outer space? They can't get to it either. But as long as they got television to make it seem, to make it appear, and they bring people, and these people lie and tell you, hey, we've been to the moon. These people telling you that Jerusalem's over there in the Middle East when everything's out here in America. You know? They got different types of ways to make you think a portal's opening. And there's the two wise men in the sky. Oh, this one woman saw, and she posted that this week. I've been seeing them. They're up there. They don't make any sound unless they want you to hear them. But you think you're looking at the stars in heaven. No, these are these crafts. They come low, and people are like, oh, UFOs are real. That's the next lesson I'll do. I'm going to talk about that crap. But when it says a great wind in the wilderness, if Satan was in charge of it, Satan didn't do it. But like, if there's nothing new underneath the sun, he has children who do this. They make sure that his needs are met. Like the Father, we do his will. Well, Satan's children do his will too. The Chaldeans came over. The Sabians came over. Fire of God is fallen from heaven. Come on now. Who did this? Let's go to the book of Enoch. Enoch, chapter IX. This is what it says. Thou seest what Satan has done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. What men? Those were the angels that fell. Azazel, he taught him the secrets of heaven. The Father said, but you only gave him the little ones. Why do you think you can go when we were in Egypt and see Moses throw down his staff, and then the other magicians and sorcerers able to do the same trick? But the Father had the big secret, so Moses' serpent ate up theirs. But you see these things, and people just think, oh, well, that's just magic. You better wonder, or you better understand where all this stuff came from. These are eternal secrets, and they're put to deceive you. That's why I say, if you can see it on TV, if you can see them in a movie, put portals opening up, or things that look like Bigfoot and vampires, well, they can put that in front of your face now. As a matter of fact, they have holograms that actually interact with people. They got robots out there even now. You think it's people. They've been making children forever. That's talked about in Enoch as well. Okay, so you go a little bit further down. I'm going to read this one more time to make sure y'all getting it. It says, thou seest what Azazel has done, Satan, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And we saw that even with Gideon, he was given the harps and all that, and Satan came into that harp. The people of Cain's, they were given strong drink, and then look what happened, all types of wickedness, sexual immorality, everything happened. So when you go a little further down in chapter 10, it reads this way: and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted. What angels? Well, the children of Adam's who descended down that holy hill, that mountain. It says, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish through all the secrets that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. So it started with the watchers, or the men who came down the mountain. And Satan started whispering and lying to them and telling them this and making them just like Adam and Eve. You know, the Father don't want you to know that ye are gods. Well, they were already gods. And all that means is judges of the earth. They were already that. Satan deceived them. But here's what is said in the book of Enoch. Okay, and the whole earth has been corrupt through the works that were taught by Azazel, that's Satan. To him ascribeth all sin. He is the cause of the sin. That's what ascribe means. So all sin that you see on the earth, he was giving the secrets of heaven away. And all these stories that you're reading, the apocryphers, the pseudepigraphers, as well as the Bible, a lot of times you read like the book of Job I just read to you, and it says Satan was given the power. But yet you don't read about Satan running around with a little tail or a pitchfork or a lion doing this to the people. You read about men doing this. Or you read about men causing, and when I say men, I'm not talking about just a man. Don't get me wrong. Men are women too. Whoever's Satan's, whoever's led by that spirit, they are going around doing all this weather modification. They're messing with frequency. Frequency can make the water rise, make a tsunami come. They got the information on the clouds, the constellations, the stars. When they say planets, they're talking about constellations or stars, patterns of stars. Don't think they're talking about outer space. They're not talking about that. Everything under the firmament is what they're talking about. But they got those secrets. Now, if one generation cometh, after one passes away and another one comes right back, it's a reset. So this new generation on here don't know nothing. That's why we always got to speak the truth. So that when they come on, instead of just learning those traditions, those lies by the people who are under Satan, we get to the truth of what's really happening. We're ordered to teach our children, teach another generation. The Father told me, teach salvation. What is salvation? I'm teaching you how to exist on this plane under the rulership of the Father, because he's already completed it. He's already sealed you. You either sealed one way or the other. No two ways about it. You either sealed with his spirit in you, or you sealed the other way. He said, let the wicked continue to do wickedly, and the wicked will never understand. People think that the oppressors that we see, and they are oppressors, they don't look like us, but they're oppressors. They ain't going nowhere. Like the Father said about the creation of Genesis day 6, it's good. As in the world. Everything in the world is supposed to be evil and corrupt everywhere else you read. But he said this was good. What were they good for? When Israel would not get their act together, he set those other nations because Satan was allowed to use them to whip our behinds. That's what they're good for. They're still good for that today. Because when the sentencing at the Great White Throne Judgment went on, you read about this in Isaiah 65. It said, you're going to have two people on this earth, sons of God, and you're going to have the wicked one. He said, the wicked one, let him be accursed. So that means they have to go to Deuteronomy 28, verses 16 on down, and all them curses were going to stay on them. Because the Bible also talks about this worm that's feeding on the body, but it never dies, which means this is that people want to say, oh, it's a lake of fire, people yelling, they're standing there. No, no matter how many times you come back into this existence, you're sealed to come evil. You want the same outlook. That's why they got them judges talking about, I'm giving you 3 life sentences, and if you come back again, I'm tagging another one on. Somebody knows something. But it seems like the people, it says children of this world, the children of darkness are wiser than the children of light. Somebody knows something, but they ain't telling you. Yeah, we come back. But yes, we are sealed. Their job, because Satan is their pappy, is to keep telling you that he ain't finished the job. It'll get better one day. Just wait for him to come. Now you waiting. All it's doing is halting your blessings, because the Father can't do many miracles because of their not believing the truth. They didn't have enough faith. You don't have enough faith when you got people telling you you're still sinning, and they got you feel like what they call a sin or what they call adulterous. That's not what the Father's talking about. They take what is spiritual and make it physical, which is putting a burden on you. Whatever you can see, woman, get out those pants. Shut your mouth. Be quiet. Children, duh. I gotta beat you with a stick. Now you got crazies out there abusing kids. Were we supposed to use a rod? And rod means you discipline. But they got people, they might as well have been slave masters the way they disciplined some of our children. You know, the world did that anyhow. The world would kill their children off. We were supposed to do that. According to when we were in the time of Egypt, they said that the Hebrew women are lively, which means we're going to keep our child living. And the only way they could really keep them living, besides not killing them like Pharaoh wanted, was to give them the truth of the word, give them the Father's word. Now, the whole world is out of course right now. We're going to get to more of this later. But all sin was ascribed to Satan because he gave those secrets out. So when he does what he does, it said that Satan was given the power, but he uses people. He uses people to make you believe lies. Satan did it. Okay? Now, I want to go somewhere with you guys. My computer want to stick a little bit. Hold on. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14. In Isaiah 14, it reads, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" This is another way of saying Satan, Azazel, Simjaza, the prince of the power of the air, that old serpent called the dragon, and the devil. That's the same word. So in Isaiah 14, how art thou fallen from heaven? Remember in Revelations, people still waiting for him to be cast to the earth and his fallen angels cast with him? No, baby, it's already been done. So it reads, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Lucifer means light bearer. I'm going to get into that next lesson when I talk about, is it really light outside or is it really dark? Is that really the sky? Is that really the moon? We're going to talk about this stuff. But let's stay on focus. Isaiah 14. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, to the earth, which did weaken the nations? Talking about his people, the Father's people. Every time you made them sin. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I'm going to go up to heaven to deceive the Father people. I'm going to weaken them some more. I'm going to lie to them. I'm going to make them think that there's really such a thing as an eclipse. When all you got to do is read the Bible and know the moon is set over here, the sun is set over here, and it rotates this way around a circular flat earth. So how can it do this? Which is what they're telling you. How can a comet or a shooting star come at and fall down when the Father said those things are fixed? Got to read the books. He says all that's fixed. And if the Father fixes them, it's not the Father that you're watching all these weird things happen in the sky, but somebody else. Father said all sin is ascribed to Azazel. These secrets that he gave his children that men were striving to learn. So he says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Talking about the 12 tribes, nations or tribes. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. There's more there. The stars of God. These stars, when you look them up, it could be stars, or it could be angels. What he's saying is, I will exalt my throne in the heavens. And that's under the firmament, because under the firmament is considered a heaven. So that's where he's going to do most of his work. It says, I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the side of the north. The word side means, if you look at it in a strong concordance, it means secretly, privately. He's hiding out, but that's where he's at. It says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. Where's hell? Right here on this earth. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the side of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee. They're going to think about this. Wait a minute. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdom? He don't say, is this Satan? No, is this the man? The reason why it says, is this the man, but you're hearing about, Lucifer, you're hearing about all these different terminologies, the devil, Satan, that old serpent, and all this. You're hearing about all these things, you angel, because it's the spirit of Satan, like we read in Job. It said that the Father gave Satan the power. But when you read it, the Sabians, those are people. The Chaldeans, those are a lot of different people. The wind blowing, that's man-made, just like Katrina was. Lightning or fire came from the sky. Didn't the Father said, Satan, with all lying signs and wonders and all deceivableness in those who believe him, he gonna send these strong delusions, because they fell for the lie. People still fall for it today. The one that I saw was a black woman. She said, oh, there's really aliens. How can there really be aliens? Are you not reading your Bible? How can you say outer space and NASA? Can anybody go past the firmament? They can give you the appearance to movies. And we already saw what that was about. That was a movie. Okay, what I'm saying is, you got to start looking, not for a roaring lion, not for an invisible entity per se. Everything on this earth will be done through a person. A person. They call them men. Is this the man? He said, when the enemy is caught, he has to return back to you what he's stolen from you. Many people want to say, well, this enemy is this person. Well, this enemy is this white person. Well, this enemy. No. Who's the only enemy? Well, according to the word, is Satan. He is the cause of all sin. That's the true enemy. These other people are just, I like to say, like they put in video games. NCPs or NPCs, I forgot how they word that, but non-character players. They're just there to do what they got to do. It's about us. I know a lot of people don't like that, but it is. This book is about us. It's telling us it's about you. But see, out of Israel, he first went to Israel, then to the Gentiles. What he did was he weeded out all the tares. That's your first bunch of angels that fell. And they crept in unaware, wanting the scriptures, knowing the scriptures. But then he got rid of those. He got rid of those tares. So you got people who look like us, but they're not us. That's your Revelations 2:9 and 3:9. They say they're you, but they're not. They looking just like you, but they're the synagogue of Satan, or the vessels for Satan to dwell in. We're the temple for God's spirit to dwell in. He got children out here too that look like you. The world is already wicked. The world is already what it is. So when you're looking for something, you don't get mad at the person, because our weapons are not carnal. But you physically see a man, because physically that's the deception, that a person, they can smile with you and everything, but this sucker is being used by Satan. Because just as in the book of Job, he told Satan, you got charged. But we saw people doing certain things. That's the way it is today, people. So when you see this wicked one coming and attacking, Who's that enemy? You got to catch the enemy, not that vessel you see, because Satan going to use vessels. That's all he can do in this flesh dimension. You got to have people to do his will. But who's that true enemy? Well, that's Satan. All sin was ascribed to him. That's the true enemy. And it's an invisible enemy. You shall know them by their fruit. It's an inside job what's going on. It's always deceived Israel. That's why when I went through the first 2 lessons, and I pray you had a chance to go through them, I kept reading stories about Father, open his eyes so he can see, because all he saw was physical, and that put fear on him. Then when the Father opened his eyes, he saw more hosts of heaven in the old covenant surrounding the enemies that he thought were so mighty. You know. Anyhow, family, I pray you guys enjoyed this. I think I'm going to leave it like that. That's enough. I'm going to go into more, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I'm going to see how my schedule goes. Like I said, family, for you guys who don't realize, I lost about 4 hours. And I mean, my notes were very thick, had videos in them. I did all the sublinking for you. I did all the precepting for you. I gave additional information in those notes, and they got wiped out. So I'm having to do all my notes again, and I'm still trying to work too. So it's kind of hard, and I'm the only one. I'm not like these big organizations that got other people doing their work. I wait for the Father to give it to me. Freely as he's given it to me, freely I give to you. So I do what I'm supposed to do. But I pray that this was a blessing for you to understand who's the enemy that we're trying to catch. Well, the enemy is for you to see with your spiritual eyes, and no, it's not the person that you can see with your physical eyes, but it's a spiritual one that you should be able to see. Who's that enemy? That's Satan. So if you know it's Satan, then sevenfold he got to give back. It wasn't this person or that person. I know they white. I know they Chinese. I know they coming. I know they evil. I know this person look like a little gorilla coming at you, but it's not that gorilla looking man or that gorilla looking woman or that Eskimo looking this. It's none of that mess. It's a spirit in these people. So it's Satan. All sin was ascribed to him. So that's why you pick up the word and you use the word. And one day we might just have a lesson on how to pray, because we're going to go through that. And all we're doing at this point, I'm going to give you a head up, is saying he wants spiritual thanks and praise. So when I open my book and I pray, if I have enemies coming against me, I'll just open it up. I'll say, Father, you know what? I want to thank you. I touch and agree with every truth you have said. I want to thank you because you said that he who is in me is greater than he who's in the world. So I want to thank you. You said you've already defeated all principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness in high places. I come in agreement with that. You said that your spirit heals my infirmities, because these jokers putting all kind of stuff in the water. These jokers doing this, doing that. Father, I thank you for giving me your spirit and giving me your understanding, so that I understand that all things work to good. The good, the bad, the ugly. And you're the one with the plan. And it's not for my destruction, but for a sounding. So I want to thank you for your word. I want to give you praise. I want to say hallelujah. Praise you, Father. You're worthy of all praise. I want to thank you for keep opening up my spiritual understanding and giving me the opportunity to speak your truth. So with that, we're going to leave it and just give the Father glory and thank him if your eyes have been further open. Hey, make sure you go check out our YouTube site. Brother is posting those videos up. This is part 3 in If You Can See It, Don't Believe It. Is this the man? Deuces. See you later.